Justice League is out, and you know what? It's actually a pretty fun movie. The film brought great characters together and let them bounce off each other in a way that was incredibly fun to watch. Despite the highs and lows of the film though, there are some unanswered questions we had watching after the team come together. Maybe they'll get answered at a later date, but these oddities, plot holes, and vague portions of the film definitely had us scratching our heads. So let's unite our 7 and count them down. Oh, and this should go without saying, but spoiler alert for Justice League. If you haven't seen it yet, bookmark this video and come back after you've checked it out. Before we give justice for all, be sure to click on that subscribe button to get more awesome and heroic content from Screen Rant every day. Also, can you guess the movie based off of these emoji? Stay tuned to the end of the video for the answer. Where are the Green Lanterns? Early in the film, Wonder Woman is giving Batman the lowdown on the film's villain Steppenwolf. He's a pretty strong guy from space who came to Earth some thousands of years ago to wage holy hell upon the planet. Helping him on his crusade were his parademons, who literally fed on the fear of others. It took one mighty alliance to overcome Steppenwolf and win the day. The scene was pretty amazing, showcasing an all-out war between Steppenwolf and the defenders of the Earth. These included the Olympians, the Amazonians, the Atlanteans, humans, and even the Green Lanterns, who came to Earth to help defend it. But thousands of years later, Steppenwolf is back, and he's claimed the Mother Boxes again. Weirdly enough though, the response of Earth seems a lot more muted than it was the first time around. Where are the gods? We know they exist. Ares was the villain of the Wonder Woman film after all, and the Atlanteans didn't muster up an army to help the Justice League either. Even more curious though was the total absence of the Green Lantern Corps. These guys are the galaxy's police force, and they didn't even lift a finger to help Earth in its hour of need. They came once before, so how come Hal Jordan, John Stewart, or even a small team of Lanterns don't come and help out? It feels odd that the film made a point of referencing them so early on in the film yet not have any Lanterns come to help out in the end. We expect to see them in the next Justice League film, okay, Warner Bros? The Black Suit. About halfway through the film, Bruce Wayne realizes that the team isn't going to be able to tackle Steppenwolf on their own. Despite being a weak villain in the film, there's no denying that he was insanely powerful and a credible threat to the Earth and the League. So with the help of Cyborg, the Mother Box of Man, and the Kryptonian ship that was featured in both Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, a plan is hatched to bring the old Superman back to life. And that literally sees Flash and Cyborg dig up Clark's grave. That's just weird, guys, but they know it. It was a huge gamble too, but it ultimately paid off in the end. But die-hard fans of the comics will notice something a little different about this resurrected Superman. He was in his traditional blue suit with the red cape. Huh? In the comics, Superman is ultimately brought back to life and isn't quite the same person. The Justice League teased at this, but didn't commit all the way to this famous character arc. This is weird, as it seemed like the black suit was being teased by the studio. Henry Cavill even posted a super close-up black suit on his Instagram, and Warner Bros. Put out black and silver Superman merch for sale. Since the studio was apparently teasing it and it would have made sense thematically, it seems weird that we didn't actually get it. Maybe in the next Justice League movie? What are your thoughts? Should Clark even have a black suit in the so-called DCEU? Aquaman's perfectly timed rescue. It doesn't take long in the film before Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Cyborg team up together and decide to take on Steppenwolf for the first time. His parademons have taken 9 people hostage, and it's up to the team to save them before the villainous destroyer can learn the location of the final Mother Box. It's a pretty fun scene as we see the team fighting together for the first time on the big screen. Barry Allen, of course, gains the confidence needed to become more than a guy who just pushes people and runs away. And Cyborg begins to accept that his bionic enhancements are not a curse, but a gift to help those in need. Of course, it's not a cakewalk and things don't go exactly to plan. The fight in question takes place largely in the sewers and tunnels below Gotham Harbor, a place Cyborg was able to deduce was Steppenwolf's current lair. After grabbing a missile out of the air from Bruce's Nightcrawler, Steppenwolf launches the primitive weapon into the Foundation, causing water to burst in. It's at this point that Arthur Curry comes to the rescue and shields the team from the water. It's a cool shot, but just how the heck did Aquaman know to come down to the sewers of Gotham under the island? We buy that he knew Bruce Wayne lives in Gotham and thus made that connection, but Aquaman didn't have the same information Cyborg had and wouldn't have known where Batman and company were. We know that Aquaman can sense things underwater, but the battle wasn't taking place underwater. Furthermore, Aquaman is able to find Atlantis no problem despite Mera confirming that he's never been there before. Maybe he's just really good at tracking things?
Sir, is everything all right?
Out of the way.
The backup plan. As mentioned earlier, Superman is brought back to life around halfway through the film in order to help the League fight off Steppenwolf. But there was always a risk that Clark wouldn't quite be himself. Questions of the state of his mind and soul were brought up by various members of the team as they weighed the pros and cons of bringing him back to life. Ultimately, the threat of Steppenwolf justifies Batman's decision in going ahead with the resurrection of the Man of Steel. Of course, when he's brought back to life, he goes a bit nuts. He fights off Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg with relative ease before asking Batman if he bleeds. Yeesh, Soup's tossing some shade around town. But Bruce is a man with a plan and he had a backup, which was bringing in Lois Lane and having her confront Superman. But that was a huge gamble. There was no guarantee that seeing Lois would have triggered an emotional response. Superman was pretty angry and getting very destructive. What if he accidentally blew up the car that was housing Lois? What if the sight of Lois didn't do anything? Bruce should have had some kryptonite handy just in case things got too out of hand. It seems out of place that Bruce wouldn't have put this safety measure in place just in case. We're glad it didn't come to that, but considering what Superman could do and the fact that he wasn't thinking straight, the consequences could have been extreme, and Bruce should have had the ultimate backup plan in play.
I understand.
Mother of Boxes. For those who haven't explored the DC comics, we're sure there are some elements of the Justice League movie that left you kind of confused. The main bit of confusion would likely come from Steppenwolf and from the Mother Boxes. Throughout the film, his goal is to find and unite the three boxes and ultimately destroy the planet. Hey, compared to Lex's plan in Batman v Superman, it's really quite simple. But the movie never really explains the origin of the Mother Boxes. It's established that they exist and that they do terrible things when united. But who made them? Why are they even a thing? Is their sole purpose to destroy? The film is pretty vague on these questions. We know that the Box of Men helped bring Superman back to life and helped create Cyborg, so there's definitely the power to create life in there somewhere. But the movie kind of glosses over the whole point and essence of these boxes. We also know that somehow the death of Superman activated them. Maybe when there's a powerful force nearby they lie dormant, but if that's the case, where was Steppenwolf before Kal-El arrived on Earth? There's another interesting and confusing aspect tied to the boxes. We know that they're called Mother Boxes, but the film's villain Steppenwolf actually talks to the boxes as if they were a person. He refers to them simply as Mother, which of course makes us wonder just who was Mother. Was she a god, a creator of the boxes? Is she Steppenwolf's actual mother? It's never quite explained. Here's hoping that Darkseid might provide some answers. Until then, catch up on Jack Kirby's Fourth World arc. That has all the answers you seek.
Boys, Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent.
Speaking of Darkseid, Darkseid is DC's answer to Thanos, the big bad and the one who will do the most destruction hands down in this cinematic universe. The DCEU has been teasing his arrival ever since Batman v Superman when Bruce had his infamous nightmare scene. During this scene, we not only see Steppenwolf's parademons, but Darkseid's symbol etched into the earth. But his threat isn't really established here, making us wonder where he is and what he's up to. For those who are uninitiated, Steppenwolf is actually the uncle of Darkseid. It's a cool bit of information that was not part of the film that could have potentially layered the one-dimensional villain. While the film doesn't do a good job of establishing the family dynamic or the goals, Steppenwolf is actually not in Darkseid's favor and sees the unity of the Mother Boxes and the destruction of Earth as a means to please his nephew. Does that make more sense now? Since the movie doesn't go out of its way to establish Darkseid as the future threat, one has to wonder how he'll fit into the greater narrative arc of the DCEU. After the first Avengers film ended, fans got their first look at Thanos. While Justice League did have an after-credits scene, it didn't establish Darkseid as the upcoming antagonist for the League. It would have been pretty cool to at least get a peek at him at some point in the film, but his whereabouts and motives shall remain unclear for the time being. There's something about Clark. The film made a pretty big deal about Superman coming back to life. It wasn't only awesome and inspiring to see him in the suit again towards the end of the film, but it was integral to the plot. We don't think the Young Justice League could have tackled Steppenwolf without the help of the last son of Krypton. The world no doubt found new hope at the news of Superman's revival, but there's something that just doesn't make sense. See, when Superman was brought back to life, Clark was brought back to life as well. He was declared dead after the battle with Doomsday, a bystander who was killed in the mayhem. He has an obituary, a death certificate, and a grave. Yet, no one on Earth thinks it's odd that Clark Kent is suddenly back from the grave on the same day that Superman comes back to life? Literally, no one thinks this is odd. Heck, no one thinks Clark coming back from the dead is odd, never mind the Superman angle. To protect his identity, you rock those glasses by the way, Clark, Superman should have accepted the fact that he couldn't return to that life anymore and just stuck to being Superman. But at the end of the film, we have Clark standing outside his mother's home as movers bring back her stuff. And that's our list. What's the most frustrating unanswered moment of the film for you? Can you look past these questions, or do you need answers right now? Were there any questions we left out, and what were your overall thoughts on the film? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more heroic videos like this one. And the answer to the emoji quiz is, did you get it right? Thanks for watching.